Welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast with your host, Funk Roberts.
What is going on, Over 40 Alpha Nation? It's Funk Roberts here, and today we are kicking off something that's truly legendary. Welcome to the Funk Fitness Legacy Series, in which I am going to be giving flowers to pioneers, icons, and trailblazers who built the online fitness industry from the ground up. And this is going to be a series where I'm going to be interviewing and honoring those who laid the foundation of really where we're standing today, where I'm standing today, where most of us are standing today. And I'm also honoring them with their own Funk Fitness Legacy guitar. Remember I talked about giving them flowers? Well, I don't want to actually give them flowers. I want to give them their own guitar. This is kind of like an example of what they will be getting, but each guitar will be different. And today we have our very first guest, but let me just kind of give you a little background of why I'm doing this. If you remember the 90s, if you're a 90s hip hop person or remembered hip hop in the 90s, the one thing that truly stood out, first of all, it's the greatest era ever. But the other thing is every single rapper, every single group, they brought their own rhythm to the industry. They brought their own style. Not one rapper sounded the same in the 90s. Every single rapper sounded differently. And that was also the foundation, laid the foundation, truly like took that foundation that was laid and took it to the next level. Well, between the years of 2007 and 2013, this is when the foundation of online fitness was formed. This is where the legacy started. Every single person during that time, every single fitness expert or fitness entrepreneur during that time brought something different. And it kind of laid paved the foundation of online fitness. It's not the same today as it was back then. Back then we helped each other. We masterminded with each other. We affiliated for each other. We helped each other grow. That's what and we all had our own style. So that's why I'm doing this, because we often forget about who laid the foundation, who laid the path of fitness, online fitness. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm going to be interviewing all of who I feel are the pioneers, the icons, the trailblazers who truly paved the way of online fitness and really brought something totally different, helping people change their lives. And today, the very first one, when it comes to legacy, there's only one name that every OG knows, and that's Elliott Hulse, baby. That's right. The original Strength Camp King. The first ever talking head on YouTube for fitness. He's a YouTube fitness legend. Up to this day, he's still bringing the noise, bringing the power, bringing the wisdom, bringing the knowledge. But Elliott Hulse, he brought strength. He brought soul. He brought raw truth to an entire generation of lifters, of warriors, and of young men trying to find their place in the world. From his lean hybrid muscle program, which is what I bought with Mike Westerdahl. He did that with Mike Westerdahl, to his grounding camps, to his Make Men Strong Again, bioenergetics, his book King, which I bought, and his marriage retreats. Elliott has always gone deeper than just the weights. He was also part of Critical Bench, which Critical Bench to me was like the Wu-Tang Clan of online fitness. We're going to be honoring a lot of the guys in that camp, right? The critical bench. But he helped a lot of men get strong, not just in the body, but in the mind. And for me, he helped me, right? Because remember, one of the things that made Elliott such a powerhouse was not only the knowledge that he was bringing to the table, but also he was an affiliate, and he helped many fitness entrepreneurs during that time make a boatload of money, including me. He helped me with my Spartan training system. He was one of very few people who promoted for me, and that made me a lot of money over that week. I was on his email list since 2009. I took the male PMS, that puffy muscle syndrome, from him. Listen, I'm really excited. We're going to go deep in his rise. We're going to talk about growing up and who his influences were. We're going to talk about his struggles, his integrity, and his massive footprint that he's left up to today, not only during the golden era of fitness, online fitness between 2007 and 2013, but up to today at this time. Often imitated, but never quite duplicated, brother. Let us sit down, get your protein shake, get your coffee, settle in, and help me welcome the man, the myth, the movement, Elliott, to the table. Enjoy this podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the Over 40 Alpha podcast. Today, I'm really excited because this podcast is part of our new fitness legacy series where we're going to honor the pioneers, the icons, the trailblazers, the OGs who helped lay the foundation of online fitness as we know it today. And today, when we talk about legend, when we talk about legacy, there is one name that all you OGs know and recognize, and that's Elliott Hulse, who's the original creator of the Strength Camp King. One of the, as I know, one of the first talking heads on YouTube, and the man who really brought strength, who brought soul, who brought wisdom, who brought serious truth to a generation of lifters, of young men, and of entrepreneurs even today. And from his lean hybrid muscle, which is one of the first programs I bought from him, to his grounding camps, Elliott is making men strong again. He's building emotional warriors. He's building men through wisdom and power. And today, I'm excited to have you on and have Elliott on, a guy who stays true to his voice, stays true to his values, and continues to stay true to helping men all over the world. Elliott, welcome to the podcast, brother.
My pleasure, Funk. It's pretty cool to see us OGs doing this now. You know, like I said, I remember you from when I was first getting started also. So it's amazing how God has brought us back together, and now we're talking like we're old heads. You got a gray beard. I got gray hair on my head. Man, I guess that's what happens. I didn't expect that, but here we are now.
Here we are, 56 years old and running. Hey, were you born in April? Are you an April baby?
Yes, sir. April 10th.
April 12th. I'm April 12th. So that makes sense. We like to be the center of attention.
Fire. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, we got a lot in common.
For sure. Okay, let's start with taking us back to your journey. How did the beginning, like how did your fitness journey start, and what led you to, I believe Strength Camp would have been your first, probably the first thing that you created, but tell us about that journey from and your origin story.
Oh man. Well, we can go as far back as the fact that I was born with really good genetics. I'll thank my parents for that, right? Getting into fitness and being a fitness influencer requires that you got some kind of gift. And so I got the gift of physical strength. I got good looks and charisma from my mommy and my daddy. But not only that, my mom's brother was a martial artist. He was a marathon runner. He was a gymnast. He was an all-around athlete. By the way, they're from Belize. So, you know, he grew up, both my parents, well, mainly I'm thinking about my dad and my uncle, grew up climbing trees, swinging from vines, jumping in the river. My dad played soccer with bare feet, just living wild. So, but when they came to America, they came to Brooklyn, and like I said, my uncle lived with my mom and my dad when I was young. So when I was born into that home, not only did I have the amazing genetics and just the primal background that my parents came from, but my uncle was like doing backflips in front of me and chopping cinder blocks, bricks with his hands. And here I am, like 3-4 years old, and he's like teaching me how to do push-ups and how to do pull-ups, and like I'm kicking the bag. And man, like all the fitness equipment that we have today, it's so funny. Like you would laugh at the stuff that he had. Like you remember the expanders, big, the springs with the handles on it.
This one.
Yeah, this. He had me. I snapped my fingers in that thing so many times as a kid. Oh man, it hurt. You know, you let go, then it snaps. So, you know, here I'm a little kid playing with that, playing with dumbbells. And when school started, it was evident right away that I was stronger, I was faster, I was gifted, you know, captain, you know, first chosen. And when I got to high school, I was playing football, and it was like 1994, and personal training wasn't really a career path at the time. It was just budding. It was brand new. You only hear about, like, you know, Hollywood celebrities would have personal trainers, you know, and it was like something that only rich people had, or celebrities. But here he was, my uncle, living in Jersey City and working at a boxing gym, and he became a personal trainer. He's training people in fitness. And I'm about 14 years old, and he started coming around again and taught me and my brothers how to lift barbells in my parents' basement so that we can get bigger and stronger for football. So he had an impact on me that when I was early, but then when I was, you know, about the time when testosterone starts rising and girls start looking and sports start playing, here I am like building muscle now, right on top of the genetics. Now I'm lifting. And back then, like I said, the personal training thing was brand new. And lifting wasn't like it is today. Nobody was really lifting unless you were a bodybuilder, right? He was a bodybuilder. He was a trainer. So it wasn't like today, guys like us, 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, guys like us we're in shape now, but back then it wasn't the case, and much less for athletes and kids. But here I was learning how to lift, and my high school was across the street from my home. So I started lifting. I'm getting bigger. I'm getting stronger for football. They're coming back from summers, and like everybody's looking at me like, what the hell happened to you? Like, what have you been doing? Like muscles in weird places, like, above my kneecap, little big teardrops are growing, and my back was expanding, traps raising up to my ears. And so all the other kids on my football team want to know what's going on. So I said, just come to my house. So they started coming over to my house. I'd have like, half the football team in my parents' basement, and I'm showing them how to work out. And that kind of that was the start of like what I knew I'd be doing for the rest of my life. My uncle introduced me to fitness. He introduced me to lifting, and he introduced me to entrepreneurship. I noticed that he didn't have a job. He worked for himself as a trainer. Right. He made his own hours, and he chose his own clients, he made his own money. And that also was mind blowing to me, because entrepreneurship wasn't a big thing back then either too. So he really showed me my future in many ways.
Wow, that's huge. The fact that you at 14, 15, 16 in high school kind of had that thought of like, okay, this is probably what I'm going to do, something in this realm. Even though you were playing sports and you were dominating in sports, you still felt that thing. And I think it sounds like your uncle had a massive role in your life while you were younger, without him maybe even knowing, or maybe he did. Maybe he was like, okay, guys, let's get this done here. Let's get you guys prepared. Let's elevate you above everybody else in your game. Would you say that like your uncle was really true, like inspiring to you in that sense?
Man, it's so amazing, because when you look back on life, I'm sure you agree, sometimes we don't know what we're doing. It's like God's hand is on us, and it's not until you look back that you realize like what happened. And he was literally just babysitting us because my mom was at work, and so he was training. So he had me and my brother. It was like, all right, kids, this is what we're going to do today. And so we were working out with him. I think he was just trying to like kill time and entertain the kids. Right. So yeah, he had a huge impact, but I don't think he intended for that. I think he was just showing up.
Yeah. And you guys, but for you, just seeing what he's doing and thinking about everything that he did, in regards to entrepreneurship, you can just tell just by the way your story is going. Like he played a major part in paving a way, right?
Huge. Yeah. Introduced me to my love and my work.
Yeah. So now you're in high school, and what happens after high school? Like you're still playing football during high school. Where do you go after you graduate from high school?
It was just 4 more years of the same thing. I went to St. John's University.
Oh, St. John's, okay.
Yeah, I played football in New York City. And during the off season, teammates would come to my house. I lived on Long Island. So, I spent 4 years playing football and training my friends. That's all I really remember besides that and, girls.
Yeah, of course.
My wife. I met her when we were in high school. Yeah, I met my wife when we were in high school. So it's funny because the same summer that I started lifting with my uncle was the same summer I met my soon-to-be wife. And so, between being focused on lifting, sports, training my friends, and being with my future wife, those 4 years were instrumental. They pointed to what I would be doing even to this day.
That's amazing that you're still with your wife, that she's your high school sweetheart. We don't see that much for guys our age. Like we don't really see that much for guys our age. So, like I coach, guys in their 60s and 70s who still have that story. but the younger generation definitely doesn't see that story as much as we should and can. Okay, so now we are done St. John's. Now where do we go from here?
So I knew, of course, what I wanted to do. And so I went to graduate school to study exercise science. And I only made it through 1 year. It was 2001, 9/11 happened. And I dropped out of school. I dropped out. I was supposed to be in a 3-year program. I dropped out after the first year, and I applied for OCS to go into the Marines because, I wanted to do something, right? I was a young man just out of college, and we're going to war, and what do I know, right? And I'm like, I always dreamed of being a Marine. I don't know, maybe I don't know if I believe in past lives, but somewhere in my DNA, I was definitely a Marine. I was definitely a soldier. I was definitely a warrior, and I felt that call. But I don't know if it was my ADHD or God just had different plans for me. And they kept pushing my date back, and my OCS date, officer candidate school date. And by the third time they pushed it back, I changed my mind, and I just was like, I'm going to get a job. And I started working at New York Sports Club, training people in the fitness gyms, married my wife, married my girlfriend. And then shortly thereafter moved down to Florida, and it was in Florida where I started growing my family, and I grew strength camp. So I worked at a fitness gym for a little while, but because I always knew I wanted to work for myself, I had a old van my dad gave me. I was driving his old beat up van that he we as kids would drive around in. And here it was mine now. I mean, this thing was a mess. It had the window broke, and I didn't fix it, and it was just hot, no AC. I'm driving around with the window. It was just crazy. But that van became my gym. And so I remember at the time meeting Zach Evanesh. I'm pretty sure you know who he is. He's an old guy like us. He was training people in his garage with sandbags and tire sleds and logs and odd objects. And of course I couldn't afford to buy a gym at the time. I couldn't, so I got on his ticket, and I just got a bunch of trash. I went around my city just picking up garbage, heavy garbage, heavy rocks or whatever, putting it in my van. And that's how strength camp started. I was way before boot camps were a thing. I started strength camp, and I was training my clients in the parks with this, with these odd objects. And that's how strength camp started. And then YouTube came shortly thereafter.
Okay, so I'm just going to stick with strength camp for a second here, because that was pretty monumental. From what I knew of you when you first came on with the strength camp brand, right? That was the brand. Was that something you did, or was that a collaboration? Like, did you, because I know that you worked with Mike Westerdahl for a while, and I'm not sure if the question I'm asking is, was that a collab? Was that just you? Was that or was that just something that you did and everyone else came on board?
Yeah, that's just something I did.
Okay.
It was 100% me, but it was inspired by Zach Evanesh.
Okay.
So he was the underground strength coach, and he had a website, and I really borrowed a lot of what he was doing to get strength camp off the ground. And he called his program strength camps. He's like, sign up for a strength camp with me. And back then, the internet's a baby. And so I was like, let me get that domain. Let me buy that domain. That sounds like what it is I want to do. Strength camp. I'm going to do because coming from football, doing football camp and, boot camp. And so I was like, I'm a strength guy. And at the same time, I started dabbling with strongman competitions.
Right.
So I was like, all right, so we're going to call this strength camp. And that's what we were doing in the parks. It's what I called my first warehouse gym, and it was the title of my YouTube channel. Mike came a little while later when we collaborated on some ebooks back then. But the internet, that was a whole another ball of wax too. Because as you know, you and I, we come from a generation where there was no internet. We didn't grow up saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be a YouTube celebrity," or "I'm gonna make money online." There was no such thing. but I came across it very early in my career when Google was just starting out. I mean, YouTube just came out, and I learned about digital products and digital marketing from some of the OGs. I mean, we can go down that route, but I mean, I see you have your ClickFunnels plaques back there. I mean, I remember Russell Brunson when he first came out, like this guy was brand new. He was selling some program about how to create continuity, and anyway, but that was a different story. Strength Camp was just me training people in the warehouse.
Okay, so let's move on to the transform or the journey to YouTube, right? So now you got Strength Camp. Like you mentioned, there were digital products. I love this time online because when we were first online during that time, you being one of the OGs, we had no foundation. We had nothing to go back on. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. So a lot of times we helped each other, which was amazing. Like that's one of my biggest things right now is we don't do that anymore, but that's another thing to talk about. But what made you go, okay, you know what, I'm going to use YouTube as my vehicle to really inspire and get my voice out there? What was that decision-making process?
Yeah, it's amazing. So it's funny because we're talking 2005, 2006, and I have my gym Strength Camp, but I also knew in my head, I was like, this internet thing is gonna pop off, and I'm gonna make my money from the internet, not from my gym. So very early on, I knew that my gym was gonna be like my passion project. It would be where I work, but the real money was gonna come from the leverage that was available online. And so I started creating ebooks. I don't know if you remember Matt Basak and Corey Rudel and like, you know, these old guys, even Russell Brunson back then and Mark Joyner. So like I learned about these internet marketers and they were like, you know, create ebooks. Ebooks was a thing back then. Create a book that you can publish by yourself online, PDF document, and you can sell it for, you know, $40, $50, $100. And so I got all these workouts. I'm a well-knowledge trainer, well-experienced trainer. Even back then, I took a lot of courses. And so I created products, but they weren't easy to sell. I didn't know how to sell them. I dabbled with some YouTube Google ads. I did some, forum marketing. I don't know if you remember, like you go into a forum and you put like a byline and people would buy it. Matt Basak taught me how to create a squeeze page. So I did some article marketing and it was okay. But the thing was, I also needed to run my gym. So I had these products. Maybe I was selling a handful of them every once in a while. But I needed members for my gym. I needed members to come to Strength Camp. So this YouTube came out. And with YouTube, I could make videos of our workouts. And so I started making videos of our workouts and getting video testimonials from my clients. And I would just ask them to share it and say, hey, could you, email this? I mean, this is before smartphones too. So I say, could you email this to your friends or, just show this to people, show your family. This is what we're doing at the gym to help me get referrals. And they would see it and it would work. It worked. They would go to the YouTube channel. They'd watch the video on their computer because, like I said, there was no smartphones. And they would see, oh, wow, Roger's he's flipping tires. Like he's pushing trucks. Wow. It was unique. It was very different. There's nothing like it. Like now, CrossFit and F45 or whatever, like they're doing it everywhere. It's been just kind of, it's not even exciting. But back then, nobody was doing that. And so when they saw my videos, they would come to my gym. They're like, I want to do that. That just looks fun. Yeah. So it worked. But the strange thing was that even though the video, all I thought in my mind was, this is gonna, my clients are gonna show it to their friends. It's gonna get me clients to my gym. It was as far as my mind went.
Right.
But some of the videos were getting like, 200, 300 views. And to me, that was like a tip off. I was like, what is going on here? I know that Roger didn't send this to 300 people. I know that. He must have sent it maybe to a couple friends or something. Like, how the hell is this video getting 300? Then it dawned on me, oh, people I don't know are watching these from all over. And then they would write comments and ask questions. So I realized, I was like, oh, I bet if I talk about my digital products on these YouTube videos, people might buy them. First time I did it, I put up a video about a football workout program now I'm making money. All of a sudden, it was like, people watch the video, they click my link, and they bought my products. And it was faster than with ads. It was all the things I was doing before, I almost gave up on. And then I started putting the links in my descriptions, and now I'm like, I don't want to say I'm in the money, but I'm making, $300, $400, $500 a week from products I made like maybe a year or two ago. And people are asking questions in the comments. So I figure, well, let me answer their questions with more videos. And that's how Yo Elliott was born.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Because I was thinking you're putting all these workouts, but then what was that, Yo Elliott? What happened? How did that happen? But that makes sense. You started answering people's questions. And so what was like, why? So talk us through that evolution. Like, was it just daily? Was it weekly? Was it just figuring things out on the way?
A lot of just figuring things out on the way. I turned it into a series. I realized once, for me, it was easy. I was like, oh, I love answering questions. That's one of my favorite things to do. I could talk all day about topics that people ask me questions on. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a YouTube video maybe once, 2-3 times a week. Like, I think I was maybe doing it twice a week. And I would read a question in a comment. I'd make a video. People would watch it. And I was having fun with it. Yo Elliott. I had made a little intro. I would change the music. And, I did it here and there. But then, now, mind you, I don't know anything about being a YouTuber, YouTube influence, YouTube partner. I don't know anything about it. I don't watch YouTube. Let me put it that way. I'm uploading YouTube videos and I'm going about my day. I'm not watching anybody else. I don't know what's going on YouTube. I don't know what it is. Except I'm just putting these videos up there, people clicking my links, and I'm selling stuff. Then one day, I get an email from this company that wants to work with me. And they introduced me to one of their partners, the Hodge twins.
Okay, right. Yes. Yes.
These guys, they're comedians. They're two brothers. We look a lot alike.
100%.
And they're making workout videos, but they're like more comedians. Like, they're funny, right? Yeah. And so Keith Hodge sends me an email. And he's like, hey, man, because I think they get a referral bonus if I work with this company. Back in the day, they would have these companies that would help you as a YouTube partner. And he was like, hey man, why aren't you a YouTube partner yet? I'm like, YouTube partner? I was like, what is that? He's like, they put ads on your video and you make money from the ads. And in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm not gonna put ugly ads on my video. And what am I gonna make, like, $10 a week? Like, that's stupid. I'm selling ebooks, man. I'm not messing around with these advertisements. He's like, man, just turn it on. Just try it out. Right. Just try it out. And I'm like, all right. I turn on the YouTube ads. I become a partner, just a test. I'm like, oh, I can't hurt. It doesn't make any. Literally, I push a button. I'm like, I'll go about my day. A couple months later, I get my first check. It's like $8,000.
Jeez.
And I'm like, oh. And I'm making like one video a week. I'm not thinking about this. $8,000. So I'm like, what if I made 4 videos a week, 5 videos a week? Next check, $13,000, $15,000. And I'm like, this is crazy. So what if I make a video every day and I start a second channel? Because, the questions are coming in, and my channel, YouTube was now starting to show my videos more because they wanted advertising dollars. They make money. Right. So they're showing my videos. My channel's growing, it's growing. I'm not even paying attention to the growth. I'm not paying attention to anything. I'm so ignorant. I just know when I make videos, money comes.
Right.
I'm not looking at stats. I'm not looking at subscribers. I don't know any of this stuff. I just know I'm making money. So I basically drop everything and I'm making like 2 videos a day. I'm pounding them out. I get in front of my camera and I'm like, I used to do Tuesdays and Thursdays. I made like 10 videos on Tuesday, 10 videos on Thursday for 2 different channels. And I was pumping them out. Yo, Elliott, yo, Elliott, yo, Elliott, yo, Elliott. By 2013, I'm at the peak. I made like $38,000. I think that was the most I made in 1 month.
Wow. And that's back
And
then.
I'm like, I'm not doing it. That's all I'm doing. I'm like, how can I make more videos?
Right.
By 2015, my strength channel reached 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And I had another channel that was, multiple 6 figures at the time too, where I was talking about other things outside of the gym.
Right.
So, I would answer questions about gym on my strength camp channel and fitness, but then I had another channel because I would get questions about like, yo, Elliott, my girlfriend cheated on me. Yo, Elliott, my parents won't let me get this job. Yo, Elliott, I want to go to college, but I hate this. Or they would just ask me a whole bunch of other questions about life.
Right.
So I started that second channel, and that's where, a lot of people, they know me for a lot of different things because I started out in fitness and it was all about strength. And I had a broad array of the things I was teaching. I don't want to brag, but like I was sharing a lot of stuff that people never heard before. I was enlightening people. And then I was into like philosophy and spirituality and religion. And so on my other channel, I'm like blowing people's minds with all kinds of stuff that people take for granted today. But Again, I'm not blowing my own horn, but I was like the first one. A lot of stuff that's like popular and big now, like I was the first one talking about it. So whenever I speak to people even today, 15 years later, they're like, Elliott, you're the first one to introduce me to this. You're the first one I learned about that. And now they're like, these are guys that are like turned careers into like just one video that I mentioned something. It's just wild.
Yeah. By the way, you can toot your own horn because this is the Legacy series. This is literally giving you your own flowers. The reason, well, there's many reasons, but the main reason why you're here is because you were a pioneer. You were an OG. You were the one who laid the foundation for a lot of things that people are doing today, right? A lot of things, specifically on YouTube. But yeah, this is your. This is your show. This is your legacy. This is there's a reason why you are and you've had so much success is because you were doing a lot of things people weren't doing at that time and still doing today. I want to ask you one question before I continue. Where did Yo Elliott come from?
So the idea for Yo Elliott came from a internet marketer named Tellman. He was an email guy and we became friends. We had like mutual friends and he's a really strange guy. He grew his hair real long. He was a barefoot runner. So he's into fitness and stuff. And he started a YouTube channel called Hey Tellman. And he would just answer questions. It was called Dear Tellman. Dear Tellman. And he would answer email marketing questions. So I noticed that he made it into a series. So I was like, well, I'm from New York. I like to say yo, I don't say dear. I say yo, funk, yo. So, growing up in the 80s and 90s. So I was like, Yo Elliott. And my intro was a little like a heavy rap beat in the background. And so it was literally my version of Dear Tellman was Yo Elliott.
Wow. And so that caught on right away. That's like how you were known. People probably walking down the street would call you Yo Elliott, Yo Elliott, Yo Elliott, right? As opposed to Elliott, it's Yo Elliott. The Yo had to be there. That's the brand. By the way, that's the power of branding, right? You literally took Yo Elliott and created your own brand, your own IP from Yo Elliott, which is super powerful. And the fact that you have 2 channels, I remember the Strength channel, and I remember I don't know if was it called Wisdom back then, or is it?
It was just Elliott Hulse.
Okay, Elliott Hulse. The Strength, definitely all about fitness and answering those questions. But I loved how you moved into the wisdom, the spirituality, all of the other things that you were doing in your life, because you were also somebody who actually lived what you did, right? You lived what you preached. And today that doesn't happen as it did back then. A lot of the online fitness experts, entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call them, they used to do most of them did what they preached. It doesn't happen right now, but you changed a lot of lives with both channels. Where does the critical bench come in? Because for me, this is me looking at that crew. I saw a few people as part of that crew. I don't know if they were specifically part of that crew, but like Mike Westerdahl, Zach Evanish, yourself, I think Chris Bernard, Chris Wilson, like that was a crew. I don't the critical bench crew. Like it's like the Wu-Tang Clan. Like you guys were the Wu-Tang Clan of strength, right? Everyone had their own kind of niche. Like Vince Monty did this thing, and so did this, and everyone had their own niche. But the critical bench crew, that was like a powerful name, not only in what you guys were doing, but also in the ClickBank world, right? The affiliate world. But were you guys part of a crew? Like, was that like a crew that you guys kind of created on purpose, or was that just kind of through osmosis and what you guys were doing?
It was just the grace of God, man. It was crazy. Like, so when I moved down to Florida, I'm trying to figure this thing out myself. And I'm also a trainer, so I'm still learning about different modalities for fitness. And I got into Joe DeFranco. I really like Joe DeFranco stuff. And I wanted to buy his DVD. Back then, we bought DVDs. I forget what it was called. It was like Industrial Strength or something. I don't remember what it was, but he had a DVD. And I was like, oh, I want Joe DeFranco's DVD. And so I went online to go buy it. And a website, Critical Bench, was selling it. And so, again, back in the day in the internet, we weren't as savvy. So I saw that Critical Bench, I could buy it from him, and he would mail this DVD to me. But he was mailing it from Florida. He was mailing it from Clearwater, Florida. And I was like in Clearwater, Florida. So I was like, oh. And then, so I emailed him. I was like, can I come and just buy it from you? Can I just pick it up from your store? He's like, nah, I don't have a store. I work out of my bedroom, and I can mail it to you. But like, why don't we meet up? I think we met at a gym somewhere that he was powerlifting at, Mike Westerdahl, and we started talking internet marketing, started talking powerlifting. I was doing strongman. He would come to my gym, and we just became friends. And he met Chris Barnard. You mentioned Chris Barnard was a student of mine. He trained. He was a college athlete. Played football. He was at my gym. So Mike would come. We meet Chris. I don't know if you remember Alex Morocco. He became Jason Capital. He used to come to the gym because he was a basketball player from not too far away at a university. He's one of the top internet marketers and copywriters. I mean, he's amazing. Ryan McGinn, who's known for, now I don't know if people know these Hormozy style TikTok videos. Ryan McGinn, he was one of my first friends. He'd come to the gym. He pioneered that style of video. And so here we go. Here we have all these guys. We don't know what we're doing. We're at the beginning of the game. And we decided, Mike and I decided, why don't we create a product together? Because, we're already doing it. Let's publish something together. And so we published our first book together, which was not Critical Bench, which was Lean Hybrid Muscle. And we did a series like that. We would do the affiliate launches, like you probably remember. And so more than anything, we were just a group of friends that worked together. We'd spend days we go to Panera Bread with our laptops. We'd sit in a circle and we'd work. We'd go to my gym. We'd be up in the warehouse gym, sweating our asses off in Florida. No AC, just working.
Right. That's amazing. It's like the fact that you guys were helping each other, working with each other, feeding off of each other. Was there any competition in, I don't know if there's always competition, but was there any negative competition, or were you guys always trying to help each other and kind of guide each other in your online entrepreneurship, online fitness, etc.?
I wouldn't call it competition so much, but it was through those relationships and other business relationships over the course of the next decade or so that I learned some difficult truths about myself. And so Mike and I were still friends, but our business partnership fell apart. And I had a few other business partnerships after that fell apart. Chris Barnard, who was a student of mine, we were business partners. He's my last business partner that fell apart. And I learned that I don't work well with others. I don't do well with partners. I need to be the guy that calls the shots and takes the falls.
Right.
And if I have to ask permission or I have to be in collaboration with someone for everything that I choose to do, even though there are its benefits, I've discovered that it goes against something in me. And so I don't work with people anymore. I'm a solopreneur. I work by myself. If I can't do it by myself, I get an assistant. But no more business partnerships for me. I know you probably work with Bedros, even Bedros. I tried to do some work with him, and he's a great guy. Awesome, but I just didn't know how to work with people. I don't know how to work with people.
Where do you think that comes from? Because from the beginning of this conversation, you talked about how your uncle, you guys would work out together, you and your brothers would work out together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what that relationship's like, but then in high school, you would have everybody come, and although you're kind of coaching and what have you, you're still working with people. And then in St. John's, same thing. And then in Florida, same thing. Where do you think that comes from? The fact that, you don't like working with other people?
Well, when I say working with, I mean sharing authority. I don't like sharing authority with anybody. And that question we could go on and on for days about, but it's my nature. My dad is that way. My uncle is that way. You and I spoke about being born in April. There's something about Aries that we got to be in front. We got to be on top. We got to be the first. I don't want to share responsibility or authority with anybody else. So a part of me, I didn't like that about myself, and I would reject it. And I keep thinking okay, maybe I can outgrow it, or maybe this is something I need to overcome. But at 46 years old, I just come to just surrender to the fact that this is the way God made me. And I'm going to do my best with my strengths, and I'm going to do best with my limitations. And I'm not going to over intellectualize it. I just say, hey, it's how God made me. That's it.
Yeah, I just asked that question because I'm the same, actually. I've tried so many collabs. I'm even in one right now, and partnerships, and it's just something about I think my work ethic is a lot different from other people. And when I'm working at a different level and expecting everyone else to work at that same level, it's just there's a bit of resentment. I'm
yes,
I want to have this resentment because this person actually doesn't work at where I work. So it's not them, it's me. And I have to be able to just be okay with that. But being okay with it means I just have to work by myself. I think that's where I make the best products, the best stuff is when I'm working by myself. So I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just accept it and let it be that way.
Yeah.
For me, work ethic is important, but also creativity. And sometimes the way my brain works, other people don't understand it until they can see it. Right. So, I would get so frustrated trying to explain things to people. And I was like, you just can't see it until I do it. So I just need to just forget you and go do it. And they'd be like, okay, see?
Yeah.
And it's also taught me a different kind of humility. It's really allowed me to put my trust in the Lord and realize that I do have a partner, and it's God. And I can get in my own way by trying to rely on my own will. But if I surrender and I let him be my partner, let him deliver it to me, then I'm really working in concert with the divine. And there's been no better partner than him for me.
Amen. Amen. Jesus is on the throne for me, baby. I try to take that throne from him many times, and it's definitely bit me in the butt every single 100% of the time. When you take the throne, it bites you in the butt. So you stay there
Absolutely.
and guide me. Okay, so I just want to ask you about the good old days. I think the good old days, the foundational days, the days when we were helping each other, the affiliates, all those times where we kind of helped each other. Like you were monumental in many people making a lot of money just on the affiliate power that you had and sharing. Like you didn't even have to do, like, the days of affiliate marketing is in fitness world is like non-existent. That literally doesn't happen. But back then that was so pivotal for all of us, for everybody, because we were able to lean on each other in order to build our businesses. Talk to me about what you thought about those times and those days.
Oh wow. Yeah, it was a game. It was a lot of fun because not only were you blessed to have other people help you promote your things, right? And the big deal was emails. It was all email. Everything that we did back then was through email. I had the added benefit of YouTube at a certain point, but email was king. And so everybody was building email lists, launch lists and squeeze pages with free gifts, and like they would be like free gift things where like people would get together and we'd share lists. So it was like, I don't want to say it was list incest, but it was like everybody was growing together and we're building these email lists. And the bigger the list and the more influence you had over the list, the more products you would sell. And so it was good for selling our own products, but then the affiliate game, it became a game where if somebody was launching a product, you knew everybody else who was promoting the product, and it was like a competition.
Yeah.
And so it was like you'd see the leaderboards. I mean, it was all ClickBank. You'd see the leaderboards, like who's selling how much, and it would be like it was literally a game. Yeah. And there'd be prizes for the top guy, and there was status associated with it. It was a sport. So for me, being competitive and making good money through it, we would participate in many different product launches. I'm sure you and I have been on many of the same product launches, and it was a good time. It was good while it lasted. I'm happy that I had that experience, and the fact that you bring it up like it's a little nostalgic for me. Those were fun.
They were amazing. Yeah, 100%. Even the masterminds too. Were you part of any fitness masterminds? Or those were so powerful, man. Those were so powerful. The way we got together, sat down, and again just workshopped everything and masterminded, right? Like it was so amazing.
Yeah, that would be some of the gifts would be like, top 10 people would get together and we would do a mastermind. There were some nice locations. I remember going to like the Keys. A lot of times here in Florida, people wanted to come to Florida. So it was great. Yeah, it was awesome meeting guys and learning. It was awesome.
So we have the ClickBank era, and now by the way, that's what I want to say. First of all, thank you very much for helping promote my Spartan training system. That was awesome. Mm-hmm. You helped me promote that. I appreciate you. And also thank you for male PMS, puffy muscle syndrome. I've taken that. I give you your props every time I use it, but that is such a powerful way to visualize the puffiness that I used to have and a lot of men do have. And when I use that from you, it literally paints the picture for them. So thank you very much.
Does.
For that. It paints the picture. Okay, so now yo Elliott, you got the strength, you got you're making a ton of money. Like the money's coming in. When did you start to transition? Because I did see that a transition from the strength stuff and the wisdom stuff to other alternative, it's not alternative, but just more spirituality, grounding. You're doing meditation, the book, The King, all these other things that were happening. When did that happen, and what was the thought process behind going in that way?
Well, the truth is that was always there.
Okay.
In fact, my first ebook, was rewind back to when I was talking about 2005, 2006. My first ebook was called Unleash Your Primal Edge. And it was a holistic program. It was mind, body, and soul. I've always been fascinated by spirituality, religion, quantum physics, personal development. I mean, these things just rung true for me, even in my youth. I did a video not too long ago about my introduction to personal development. I must have been about 10 years old, reading a Reader's Digest book from my mom had that taught me about meditation. I was just like drawn to it. I don't know why. So even though it's funny because people don't know where to put me sometimes, and they get frustrated because they're like, where this guy, they either think, a lot of people think I'm a fraud because they're like, this guy's always making new shit up. They're like, oh, here comes Elliott with his new grift. And I'm like, y'all don't understand. Like, it is all actually me. I never transitioned. I never changed. I'm just showing more and more elements of who I've been since the beginning. Right. I was highly influenced by Paul Chek early in my career. Paul Chek is a holistic health practitioner. And, I learned exercise science from him. I learned, physiological health from him. I learned about organic food from him. I learned about embodied spirituality from him, the zone exercises. And I mean, I ate up his information and his teachings and his courses so fast. And I learned quite a bit from him. He was an inspiration to me to be all these things.
Right.
They were all in me, but I saw them all in him as a package, and that's what he did. So I was highly inspired by that. And the more popular I got on YouTube as a 250-pound strong man, my head is this freaking big. I'm lifting 400-pound stones. I'm shouting like people, like I'm a firecracker. I'm like the embodiment of like toxic masculinity. Like I'm like a beast. I'm known for shouting. Like there are people sent pictures they would send of me of me shouting and like making mean faces. Like that's me. But that's only one part of me.
Right.
That's only one part of me. And so there came a point where I wanted to show the other parts of me, even though people knew it was there, because even while I was shouting at the screen and lifting 400-pound stones, I had my other channel where people were asking me about life. And I'm talking about philosophy, theology, Taoism, Buddhism. I'm talking Alan Watts. I'm talking Nietzsche, Frederick. I'm quoting from the Bible, Jesus Christ, all these things. I mean, on and on and on. It was just, these are the things I was fascinated with. I have a little bit of ADHD, but I'm genuinely interested in everything.
Right.
And so people knew that if they came to me, they were going to get like shit they never heard before. Because somewhere in this brain, in this nervous system, somehow as a conduit for God, I'm just delivering mounds of diverse information. Yeah. And it was kind of all over the place, but it's good because I'm an entertainer. So people knew that stuff was there. But when I decided I'm going to embrace this a little bit more and I'm going to show it, I'm going to show y'all this side of me, people thought that I was cracking up, thought I was losing my mind. They thought I got weird. Now realizing like, motherfuckers, y'all like me because that shit was always there, except I had it under a leash. Now I unleashed it. And so, I grew my hair. I lost a bunch of weight. I fasted for almost a year. I fasted. I did prolonged fasting. I did have a big conversion back to my Catholic faith, which I had never believed would have happened. So the past 12 years, God has been working on me in diverse ways to really help me integrate all of this. I don't want to say I've moved away from fitness because I'll always be a strength coach, but these days I think God was preparing me to slow down, because I beat myself up. I tore both biceps, tore my Achilles tendon, hernias. Like I was just, at one point I had like high blood pressure, and like God was preparing me to let all that go, but still deliver love to the world. And so I guess it's been a tough transition. It's because letting go of that version of myself was so hard because it was pleasing. It was profitable. I loved that me,
Yeah.
But I can't be that forever. I would have killed myself. Plus, I have a family. I have 3 daughters and a son. I have 4 children. I got my wife. There's so many different parts of me that God was like, Elliott, it's time to metamorphosize. It's time to let go and become what else I'm asking you to become. And like I said, man, the transition has been weird because people think over the past 12 years, like I've been in a cocoon of sorts, like, coming and going, showing different parts of myself, disappearing from YouTube, coming back. And people are like, oh, who do we got now? Which Elliott is this? During that, one of the phases that I demonstrated to them was, they would say, far right wing, toxic MAGA Christian Elliott. And I'm like, y'all don't remember, I have always been talking about the dignity of masculinity and the importance of men for being men. Yeah. And just because now I'm talking about it in a way that is triggering to the increasingly woke population, they started labeling me, there's news stories done about me, hit piece articles about, Elliott Hulse they even said that I incite violence against women, because I'm talking about like how it's good for a woman to want to be a wife and to be a mother. Like I was just saying crazy things like that men are stronger than women. Like, that sounded nuts to people. And they're saying that I'm inciting violence against women. I'm like, I have 3 daughters. I married my high school girlfriend. My parents are still together and I love my mom to death. I am not inciting violence against women. I love women more than you do because I know what the truth about how God made us. And the most hateful thing that you can do to a woman is teach her that she needs to be a man. But that's what the culture was doing. This was around 2016, 2017, when this really Me Too started popping off. So they try to paint me in all kinds of different ugly colors. But the bottom line is like, it was just different pieces of me that rose to the occasion when the time was appropriate. And, but it's always been there.
Yeah. I saw I don't want to say transformation, but I saw the different stages that you were releasing, because I think that you're kind of releasing to everybody. The one thing I love about you is that you're true to you, your integrity, you're true to you. So I'm not sure if you lost some people that if sometimes people just like, but I want Yo Elliott. I want Yo Elliott. It's like the same guy. It's the same person. It's the same Yo Elliott. I'm just giving you this piece of Yo Elliott. No, I want this. I want this. And then that's where all of the negative and stuff. And then maybe after years, when people kind of get older, they realize, oh, this is the same Elliott. I'm coming back. Right? You know what I mean? Sometimes they just come back and go, oh, wait a minute. Hey, man, I've been away for 15 years. Sorry, brother. You were just all over. But I'm back. And was that what was happening in some ways?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. This has been going on for a decade, but one of the most often read comments that I see is, Elliott, I really used to love you. Then I hated you. Ooh. But now I see what you're doing and I love you again.
Right.
I left, I came back. I was confused, but now I see it. And you're right. I've lost people. I mean, I've confused people. I've really, people do with you what they're going to do with you, right? I like to say that there's not just one Elliott. They like to say that there's, multiple Elliots. I'm like, no, there's a million Elliots, because whatever you think I am is what I am to you.
Right.
Right? You do with me what you want. And that's the problem with becoming an idol. And I again, I'm not blowing my own horn, even though I'm allowed to. The bottom line is I had become an idol.
Yes.
And what is an idol? An idol is not the real thing. That's why God told them, don't have false idols, because an idol, like I could say that this is God. I'm going to worship this thing. It's like, no, there's God that's behind all of this, but this thing is not God. And that my image on the screen and what you receive in your heart of me is not actually me. So there's a lot of idolatry, whether people would admit it or not. We live in the time of greatest idolatry, totally. Because there's so many images and icons on the screen. People idolize everything and everyone, not knowing that when you believe that your conception of a thing is what it actually is, you've made it into an idol. And so I've had a lot of people make me into an idol, and as a result, they're getting beat up by their own idea of who I am.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. It's been difficult. It was hard for me because I want to be liked. I want to be understood. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, to be great is to be misunderstood. And I took a lot of those words that he to heart when he says that. It's like, yeah, I know, like, I'm going to be understood. And I guess that's a part of being transparent and being yourself and being in front of so many people, that they're going to be those that are going to hate you. They're going to be those that worship you. They're going to be those that have all kinds of fantasies about you. And I just had to be prepared. And of course, God, through his grace, put me through those challenges. And I've had to be prepared to see that and be that and go through that. And it's funny because now, all these years later, I feel God calling me to being a mentor to those who are coming up out of that and walking through that now as I'm on the other side of it. And so a lot of internet entrepreneurs, I'm watching these young men, and it's funny because they crash and burn faster. I see these guys in their early 20s, made $1 million. They blow up on YouTube and whatnot. It's like, and now they're 27 years old and they have a midlife crisis. It's like, well, okay. And they come to me. I feel like I say I'm old Uncle E, I'm the old uncle, and they all come to me now. And you'd be surprised at some of the big names that show up on my calls. And they're like, Elliott, I know you were the one when I was a kid and I followed your lead. And now I'm successful. I'm a multimillionaire, but I'm hating my life.
Yeah.
I want to do something else. I want to be something else, but my people are holding me back. And I'm like, yeah, I get to sit there like Yoda. And I'm like, yes, yeah, I understand what you're going through. Yes, yeah. It's good. It's good that you're going through this. You're being worked on in a way that is brand new. No one has ever seen this before, but I have. And your old Uncle E can impart some wisdom. So a lot of conscious entrepreneurs who are waking up to some of the lies that they accepted about what becoming internet famous and making money online really is all about. The hustle culture, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. A lot of the fantasies that they brought into and then realized they lost their soul. And so they get to watch old Uncle E come back on the screen and talk to them from where they are. And no one has my experience. No one could speak to them the way that I'm speaking to them now. Just like no one could have talked to them the way I was talking to them 15 years ago, no one could talk to them the way I'm talking to them now. And the message that I'm delivering in my videos these days, I'm getting hit up, messages and emails, and guys are like, wow, this is exactly what I'm feeling. This is exactly what's going on. And no one else knows what to do about it because they're all swimming in the same mess.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. And I'm thinking about a few people from back in the day who may have come to you because their transformation was pretty huge. I'm not going to say any names right now, but I have a feeling there's a few people there, which is amazing because you're seeing them in there where they want to be and where they're happy. You can see the happiness that they're from their videos and from the information that they're providing. I mean, I can see it versus what they were before. But we're gonna end this off. I'm gonna ask you a very powerful question. What happened to our men? What happened to our men? I work with men over 40, 50, 60. My goal is making these guys, getting them back to where they need to be so they can mentor, so they can be the man they're supposed to be for their families, provide, protect, procreate, families, grandchildren, what have you. These guys in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s are a mess when they come in, but transform into incredible men. But what's going on with our society, with our men? And how do we help them? It's insane, man. I mean, we don't have to go deep, but
we could talk hours on it.
That may be another one, but
it might need to be.
Yeah,
man. I'll begin by saying this: we're under attack. Not just us, not just masculinity, femininity, the family. Satan's final battle will be for the family. And that's really the ultimate attack, the relationship between man and woman, because marriage is an icon of God. God in his relationship, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. The attack has come deliberately, insidiously, and has unfolded over the past 100 years. And if I could just give it one name that the major focus of the attack is against, I mentioned the family, but it's the head. If you want to take out something, you take out the head, you blow the head out. I live in Florida. We have alligators. You can't kill alligators. You got to shoot it right in its head. There's a little spot right inside. If you want to take it out, you have to pinpoint that. And the pinpoint for the destruction of Western civilization, which is a coordinated, deliberate attack, is at its head. And when you describe the head, you're talking God the Father, who's the head, the patriarch.
Yep.
We're talking Jesus Christ, who is the head of every man. We're talking the head of the family, which is the father, which is every man. And from there, the destruction of everything that is sacred, everything that is good, everything that is beautiful. And it trickles down into our women and into our children. And so, we could look and we could blame men and we could say men are weak and whatnot, but we've been under ideological subversion, both through the media, through the foods, through the pollution, through the music, through the churches, through the institutions, through the government, through the schools. We've been under psychological, physical, physiological, spiritual attack. Recently, the Catholic Church has imposed we have a new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th. Pope Leo the 14th is a powerful name that he chose, and it was inspired by Pope Leo the 13th. Pope Leo the 13th was the Pope at the turn of the century, right before Satan, his reign that created the bloodiest century of all of human history, the 20th century, the same century in which you ask what happened to men. I also recently heard that more Christian martyrs died in this century than all of the past 2,000 years of the church. You never hear that statistic. But Pope Leo the 13th, he had a vision during his pontificate where Jesus Christ and Satan were having a conversation in front of him. He just stopped and he was in a trance and he saw this conversation. And that conversation went something like this. Satan came to Christ and said, I can destroy your church and I can destroy your people if you give me a chance to do so. Almost like the same conversation that God had with Satan that put Job into the hard times that Job experienced. And you remember what happened to Job at the end. He was restored to his glory. But God gave him permission to torment Job. Well, it was sort of a same sort of thing. He had this vision and Jesus Christ said, fine. He says, I will know my sheep by those who don't fall away. Right. The great apostasy. And so literally, physically, spiritually, Satan has had a grip on our society for the past 100 years. Between Pope Leo the 13th and now Pope Leo the 14th. And in that space, we've seen everything that has caused you to ask that question. What that looks like on a nitty-gritty level, like I said, we could have a whole nother talk about that. But from a high-level view, that's exactly what's happened.
Wow. Yeah, I agree with everything you say, specifically with the taking out the head, because we're not going to go too deep in this right now, but I see it. I can't even find a church. I can't find a church where it is not political or it's not woke or it's not something else. So I can't even go to a church close to me right here. Masculinity, of course, even femininity is being destroyed. And of course the family, which has been destroyed for many years. That's scary, but our men have to step up, I guess. I don't know what the answer to that is. I think we all have to take our own journey to understand what's happening and then how we can fight against it, if that's what the answer is.
Yeah, it's all God's plan. It's all in His grace, and it's all in His time. And we've seen this cycle in history time and time again, as far back as, Moses leading the people out of Egypt. I mean, it's the same story.
Yeah.
They've recently, there's a meme that's gone around. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. It's just the archetype. It's just the pattern. It's just what's happening. We're in for, we've had some good times, and now we have weak men. It's just a part of the way it goes. But we know that there's nothing we need to do.
Okay.
In fact, it's our doing that gets in the way. All we get to do is to rely on God's grace, repent and return to Him, understand that the kingdom is within, and allow it to be like Christ says in the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That is a total reliance on God's grace to bring us out of this, just like He brought Job out of his pain into His glory. And so being aware, watching it, and being receptive of God's graces and His call in our life is the most important thing that we can do.
Love it. And putting Jesus on the throne. That'll be a start.
Christ is King. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, man. Listen, your contributions to the fitness industry, online, offline, but the fitness industry has inspired many, countless, like you said. Many people put you as an icon and as idol, but for 100%, you are an OG. You're an icon. You're a legend. You've never swayed from who you were throughout the 15, 20, 22 decades. You've grown 2 massive YouTube channels. You've changed people's lives, and it is an honor for me. I don't have the physical legacy guitar award, but it is an honor for me to present you with my own homage to the role that you had in this industry, the role that you still have, but you literally paved the way for many people. No one does it like you. No one does it like Elliott. And so that guitar is yours, and I want you to take it and keep it and know that you can toot your own horn anytime and every time, because you deserve it, brother. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. Thank you.
I receive it. Thank you, Funk.
And how can people find you? Where can people find you? What are your handles, etc.?
Yeah, recently I've given up all social media. You're not gonna find me anywhere. Because that's it. I'm done. All that stuff. I realized that hustle is a distraction. It's a mess. And I made over $3 million on Instagram, and I just shut that shit. I don't even go on there anymore. So you'll only find me on YouTube. It's for where I began. It's where I'll die. I'll be on YouTube till my last days. And of course, my website is my name, just elliottHulse.com. And there's where you can find me and find out what I'm doing and work with me if it feels right.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much for being on here, and we'll talk soon. We may have to go deep into the Make Men Strong again, or what the heck's going on with the world.
Yeah, I'm ready. Whenever you're ready, man, let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.